He just looked at me through the rearview mirror for a few seconds. Then he said, "You're Michael, right?" I froze instantly, because I never told him my name. I hesitated and said, "Yeah, how do you know that?" He calmly replied, "Your profile." But that didn't make sense. My Uber profile doesn't show full names anymore, only initials. I looked at him again, trying to understand if this was just a coincidence. We started driving. At first, everything seemed completely normal, just a quiet night ride through the city. But after a few minutes, I noticed something strange. He missed a turn. I leaned forward slightly and said, "Hey, you missed the turn." Without even looking back, he said, "I know a better way." His tone wasn't rude, but it wasn't normal either. It sounded too confident. We entered a quieter part of Los Angeles. Fewer cars, dimmer lights, almost no movement on the streets. That's when he spoke again. Still living on West 8th Street, my entire body went cold. That was my exact address. I sat up straight immediately. "How do you know where I live?" I asked. He didn't answer. He just kept driving and smiled slightly through the mirror. Not a friendly smile. Something else. We continued deeper into unfamiliar roads, streets I had never seen before. Then he said something that made everything worse. "I've dropped you off there before." I immediately replied, "No, you haven't. This is my first time ever riding with you." Still no response. Only silence. I checked my phone again. The Uber app suddenly glitched. The map disappeared completely for a second, then it came back, but something had changed. The destination was no longer my home. It was a street behind my apartment complex. I leaned forward and said loudly, "Stop the car. Right now." No reaction. "Hey, stop the car." This time he slowly looked at me through the mirror. He was still smiling. Then he said, "We're already there." That's when my heart started racing. I immediately grabbed the door handle, locked. I tried the other side. Locked again. My breathing got heavier. We turned into a narrow alley behind old buildings. No lights, no people, just silence. And then I saw something that made everything worse. Another car was already there, parked, engine running, and someone was standing outside that car, waiting. I started yelling, "Let ME out." "Stop the car." The Uber slowed down. That was my chance. I didn't think. I pulled the door open and jumped out while the car was still moving slightly. I ran. I didn't stop running until I reached a gas station about 2 blocks away. I ran inside, completely out of breath, and told the cashier to call police. When officers arrived, they checked the entire area. The Uber was gone. The second car was gone too. No signs of either driver. But when they checked the app history on my phone, the ride still showed as completed, even though I never made it home. And the strangest part? The pickup location and drop-off location were both exactly correct. But I was never dropped off. I used to work late shifts at a hospital in Dallas. One night I got off around midnight and ordered an Uber home. It was a silver Honda Civic. The driver seemed normal at first. He smiled when I got in, asked how my night was going, and even had quiet music playing. Honestly, it felt like one of the more normal rides I'd had. We drove in silence for a couple minutes before he asked, "So, do you live alone?" I remember laughing awkwardly. I said no, I had roommates. That was a lie. I actually lived alone. He looked at me through the mirror and smiled. Good answer. That immediately made me uncomfortable. After that, he started asking strange questions. What floor do you live on? Do your roommates stay up late? Do they know you're on your way? I stopped answering. Then I noticed he turned off the main road. I looked at the map. We were going the opposite direction. I asked where he was going. He said, "Shortcut." but it clearly wasn't. We were entering an area with old buildings and almost no traffic. I quietly shared my trip status with my sister. Then I told him I felt sick and needed him to stop. He seemed annoyed, but pulled into a gas station. The second we slowed down, I tried opening the door. Locked. He looked back and laughed. Then a gas station employee started walking toward the car. The driver unlocked the doors instantly. I ran inside and called police. Turns out he had multiple complaints under different accounts. Uber refunded the ride. That was the only email I ever got from them. This happened after a concert in Los Angeles. It was crowded outside, and rides were taking forever. I requested an Uber and stood near the pickup area. The app said, "Searching for driver." No one had accepted yet. Then a black SUV pulled up beside me. The window rolled down. The driver looked at me and said my name. "Emily?" I froze. I said, "Yeah." He nodded. "Uber for Emily." I checked my phone again, still searching for driver. No ride assigned. I asked him what my destination was. He paused for a second, then smiled. "Home." I backed away immediately. He unlocked the passenger door. "Come on, I've been waiting." I turned and walked back toward the crowd. The SUV slowly followed me, not aggressively, just rolling beside me, matching my speed. I ran into a taco restaurant nearby and stood inside watching through the window. The SUV parked outside. It stayed there for almost 20 minutes, then finally drove away. I thought it was over. The next morning I left my apartment and found a note taped to the front gate. It said, "You should have gotten in." I moved 2 weeks later.
Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and drop a comment below telling me how you liked it.